Okay, sorry. Alright, so my presentation is interview and interrogation. By the way, pay attention because I got treats. So, you know.
She's like, somebody's gonna eat these Oreos.
They are. Okay, thanks. So, introduction. So, for my thing is, I learned that physical evidence is not always good enough in court, and the only other approach you can use is interviewing the witness or interrogating the suspect. It's the interviewer's job to It's the interviewer's job to make sure they get information from the suspect that they arrested. And again, legally, consideration must always be kept in mind to ensure all the statements are be able to use in court. Yes, please. So the difference between interviewing and interrogation. What do you guys think is the difference between the two? Besides looking up there, by the way, please.
Interviewing is more friendly.
Okay. Anyone else?
Interrogation is when you're under suspicion of a crime or.
Anybody else?
So like interview is you're trying to get a story of what happened. In interrogation, you're trying to get them to like commit or admit to something. Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between them is interview is a relatively formal conversation between two people, and they're just basically trying to get information from them. It's non-accusatory. You also, during the interview, you're allowed to take notes, and relatively anyone can really be involved. That includes the witness, victim, or suspects themselves. Now, when it comes to interrogation-wise, interrogation is a systematic questioning, which means like they're basically trying to everyone who just talked about interrogation, they're trying to get questioning and confession from them. It is accusatory, and yeah. Okay, interviewing process. Developing a plan of attack. So when you start interrogation or interviewing someone, you gotta come up with a plan. You also have to familiarize yourself with the incident in question before you just go in there. So you wanna know what's going on. You also should have questions ready so you're able to keep the conversation flowing and keep the interviewing getting in different directions so they don't get off track when you're in there. The next one is be a good listener. When you're interviewing someone or interrogating someone, it's good that you listen to what they're saying. The reason being is because you can miss something really important during the time they're talking, and that's not good. So you should also there's also one thing, interviews should listen and maintain control but not dominate it. Give the interviewee time to talk to, make them feel comfortable, give them a reason why they should tell you things, and make them trust you so you can get more information out of them. The third one is maintain control of the interview. Sometimes the suspect will try to go on a rant and try to change the subject and steer the conversation away from what they just talk about. So they can be talking about, let me see, good example, how they murdered someone, but then all of a sudden they change the subject to be did you see that Laker game or something? And that's not what he just asked. So you have to make sure that the conversation is going in the right direction. And take brief notes. Sometimes again, they try to go on a rant. So try to avoid interruptions when the interviewer is talking. So that way you can get all the information that you need for them. And yeah. Interrogation process. The process of interrogation is trying to learn the truth of the crime and what happened. Also getting admission guilt from the suspect that it happened. As you see, I put Batman here. I don't know if you guys watched it.
Yes.
But
I was I love your picture.
So during the scene, there's a scene where Batman and Joker were Batman basically interrogated him about stuff. And I had a video for you, but technical difficulties happened, so I'll just explain the video. Basically, Joker took two of Batman's friends, and then the Batman had to interrogate him and basically start beating him up, which you're not allowed to do in real life, but he's Batman, so who cares? And he just kept beating him up, and then after a while, even in the real life, when you keep beating someone up, eventually they're gonna tell you the truth of what happened, and just so you can leave them alone. And that's what Joker basically did. He told him the truth of what happened, and he left him alone. And the other thing is the interrogation process is also to obtain the facts of what happened to determine the method of the crime. So how they were killed, when they were killed, what time, and stuff like that. It's also good to gather information to help investigate, come to a conclusion, like I just previously said, what happened, how they died, why did you kill them, and stuff like that. Yeah. And I explained the video, Joker, Batman. Yeah. Okay. And that goes on with what Batman goes with concoction. He basically is is using or threatening the use of a legal physical method to induce the suspect to make an admission or confession. Which he did. He basically slammed his head against the glass, the table, and stuff like that. And the Joker was like, I ain't dealing with this anymore. Okay, distress. Distress is the imposition of restriction on physical behavior such as prolonging interrogation, depriving of water or food. So like, there's times like in cases where just to get a confession out of someone, they would really prolong the interrogation, making sure that they don't have food or water, saying they can't go to sleep. And, you know, after a while, the human body, you know, we get tired. At this point, we're gonna say about anything just to make it go away, even though we know it's not showing our head. But just to make it go away, we're gonna say some things just so people can leave us alone. Okay, these are methods used by inexperienced police interrogationers. Sometimes they use fear tactics that include direct threats or intimidation, or actual physical abuse that have been known to pressure the person into, like, you know, like I just said, giving a false conviction of what they think they did, but they know they didn't. Basically putting stuff in their head they know that's not true. And also making suspects through long, like I just said, long interrogations, depriving of water, that can physically and emotionally worn out somebody. And just, you know, the human body just really can't take all that. Okay, types of interrogation styles. There is local style, sympathetic style, indifferent style, face-saving style, elliptical style. And can someone please turn to page 184 and read the styles for me, please? Each one of you, and perhaps besides Daisy, because I know.
The logical style, in a case in which the evidence seems to be overwhelming, such as a drug trafficking case involving a drug purchase from an undercover agent, the investigator may try to appeal to the suspect's sense of logic. Sympathetic style, if the investigator thinks that the suspect is easily affected by an emotional appeal, the sympathetic approach might be a good technique.
Indifferent style. In this technique, the investigator acts as though he or she does not really care if the suspect cooperates or not, but thinks that he or she must go through the motions of making the opportunity available to the suspect.
Face-saving style. In this approach, the investigator attempts to give the suspect a way out that will justify his or her participation in the crime.
Which one do you just want?
Egotistical.
Egotistical style. Here the investigator plays on the suspect's sense of pride and precision in the commission of the crime. It is pointed out how daring and difficult the crime was to implement, and that it took a great degree of planning and intelligence to pull it off. This approach encourages the suspect to brag about his or her involvement in the crime and to provide additional details to impress the investigator.
So just from, besides the people who just read it, and the people who didn't, what'd you guys learn from just hearing that? Anybody? Okay, good talk.
What was your question?
Besides people who just read it, who else, like, what'd you guys learn from what they just read?
There's different approaches that people can take in order to gain information.
I know, I just.
Different approaches in like different situations, basically. And knowing like what kind of like situation you're handling, what kind of person, that will really like say what kind of style you're dealing with when it comes to interrogation.
Maybe the severity of what the person did or didn't do wrong would also determine the tactic you would take.
Yeah, because there's like different, like how there's different interrogation styles, there's different people. And sometimes people just need like different ways to interrogate them. You're not gonna interrogate a 9-year-old like really harshly, start depriving them of food and water and making them say you can't take a nap or something. Versus when it's an adult, you might do it differently when it's like a 50-year-old, actually no, 30 years old. You know, because you might deprive them of food and water, because who cares? You're like 30 years old.
Well, even you might treat a first-time offender differently or treat
Okay, suspects lying. So we all know that suspects lie just to save their own butt. Sometimes they even snitch on their own people and homies, which is so wrong. So what I learned is investigators need to be aware of when suspects are lying, but not always rely on it, because sometimes it can falsely like give them clues to make them think they're lying, which they're really not. The way to tell when someone's actually telling the truth is like when they really assure people of what they just said to make sure they understand what they like really just said. So like if I just like told you, let me just give you an example. I walked to the store and that's all I did. I'm really trying to enforce what I just did right now, letting you know that I didn't do it at all. Instead, when it comes to telling, when someone's lying, they try to manipulate like what's in your head and manage stuff. So like they'll try to like change like every word. You think you'll know what they're saying, but they'll just really change it again, saying, "No, I said that," or "No, I said that." That's what they're really trying to do. And then there's no one indicator of lying really existed. So like you can't. There's not like one thing that you can tell when someone is lying. There's like different things, like maybe like Hunter is sipping a coffee every like 2 times I'm talking. That means he's lying about something he did, or maybe you blinking all the time. You blinked and you're lying or something. Alright. And these are like indications of how you can tell someone's lying. The way their head is positioned, they're basically telling the truth. If their jaw is really tense or something, you can tell like they're frustrated with what's going on, but they're trying not to really show it, but that can also be an indicator that you're lying. Chin on chest can mean that you're bored. So like basically you already know what happened in like what they're telling you, so you're bored of what they're saying. Usually if someone is telling the truth, you want to be interested in what they're saying and not look bored, but if you're bored of what they're saying, then you already know what happened. That's also an indicator. When you break eye contact, it's good to like, when someone breaks eye contact with you, then you know they're also lying, because if they really have the confidence of what they're saying, they'll keep looking you in the eye the whole entire time with the story and not look somewhere else. If they look at the ceiling, they're basically confused. So I guess, they're telling the truth because they don't know what happened. They're confused on what's going on. The way their foot is also positioned is a way to tell if they're lying. They keep moving their foot beneath. They're basically like ready to go. They're itching to leave. They know they did something wrong. So they're trying to move their feet around, making it indicate they're lying too. And these are like basically with the other thing, it's just the body, but these are also ways to tell. They cover both their eyes. They probably don't want to look someone in the eye knowing that they're lying, knowing what they did was wrong, and stuff like that. Hands over mouth, probably lying, trying to stop themselves from snitching or telling the truth. And I don't know why they actually said men with crossed legs are probably lying. I really don't know that one. I mean, I guess that's stereotype.
Men usually don't cross their legs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that true? Men don't cross their legs?
I'm bored, I do.
I never.
So bored, man.
Alright then. That's my
Waiting
point.
in the financial aid office yesterday.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Why suspects confess? I already basically explained the other two. They confess under distress, deprived of food, water, not having sleep, tired. And another one is coercion, basically when they beat them up to get the information. Another thing is fear of violence, when you're in there, you don't want someone to hit you or be scared that someone's gonna beat you up, so you're gonna tell the truth. The next one is the actual infliction of harm, like the other ones. You don't want someone to hurt you, throw your head on the glass like Batman did. Nobody needs that. Another thing is harsh sentence. Sometimes criminals will tell the truth because they're scared of 90 years or life in prison. And sometimes the attorneys will cut them a deal, or the judges will say, if you tell us, then we'll cut it down for you and it can make your life better. So which other option would you choose? I would choose, cutting it down because I ain't trying to get a harsh sentence. Okay, admissions. Admissions is a self-incriminating statement made by suspects that fall short of an acknowledgement or admit a guilt. Acknowledgement of a certain fact from which their guilt can be interfered. So whatever they just said, it can be interfered sometimes, just depending on relatively what it is. A confession. A confession is acknowledgement by the suspect of their guilt in the commission of a crime. So sometimes there's people who are not okay with what they did, but sometimes they try to hide it. So when the police are talking to them, there's times where people will crack and you don't have to pressure them into doing it. Sometimes they just feel bad about what they just did and they will confess what they did. Confession is to be lawful. The investigator must be mindful of the constitutional checks governing its admissibility. So you gotta be mindful when it's confession. You gotta make sure it's appropriate. You gotta make sure they're doing it the right way. They read them the Miranda rights. or else it won't like work. I watched a movie in like 21 Jump Street. They didn't read the Miranda rights right, and they let the guy go. But I don't know if that's real here. It was in the movie.
Yeah, it also happened in Medea.
Yeah, okay, it did. If you don't read, so in movies, I don't know if it's real, but I'm gonna tell you this: if you don't read the Miranda rights right, they basically get let go. So you know, if you guys ever get arrested,
Pretty
they,
sure that's true because
Okay.
they have to be written in the rights.
so if you guys get arrested, make sure they say it right, because then you guys can be set free.
I'll get arrested without being Mirandized.
Okay, well then they, you know, tell me about that.
They pretty much do what they want and configure whatever they want to do to get you arrested.
I'm so sorry for you. Why? I'm so sorry.
Live in LA, that's all it is.
Alright, and then constitutional interviewing techniques. So you must report everything, reporting every single detail of the event, however insignificant. The little things can help save someone or solve an investigation. Like, it doesn't matter how small you think it is, how stupid you think it is, just the smallest thing can help you. Context statement. Mentally recreating the environment of the original situation. It's good to sometimes retrace your steps, because sometimes when something traumatic happens, we sometimes like try to block it out. But if you recreate what just happened, sometimes you'll remember what you just like did. So I'm sorry. So like if you lost your remote and like you forget it, everyone does that. But you sometimes like you go back to where you did. I sometimes retrace my steps and be like, oh, there's the remote, and you know, you found it. Okay. Using alternative starting points within the situation. So basically changing the order. Sometimes it's, you know, good to change what just happened. So like, they don't always go in or like open the door first thing you walk in. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, you came in, you found the body, what'd you do next, what happened? Was he lying on the floor, was he dead, do you know? And stuff like that. Changing just perspective, looking at the situation from someone else's shoe. It's always good to look at it from someone else's point of view, not just yours, because that's closed-minded and just a one way of thinking. You have to be able to think about other people and the way they see it, like the victim, the witness, and the suspect. Especially the suspect, you should also want to know how like they were seeing it too, because then that way can like get in their head of why they did it, with what reason, and why it happened in the first place. Thinking out loud interview. Suspects are usually instructed to think out loud when taking a survey, but the disadvantage of this is sometimes people, they have one-track minds like I do. My mind is always everywhere. So if you ask me to read a survey out loud, I'm probably gonna talk about something else in 2 seconds, because that's just how I am. And is anyone else like that? You know, you talk differently and you just think something else at the time. Anybody? Marcus, I know you. Marcus, I know you think differently sometimes.
All the time.
See, I know it. Writing statements. The suspects may respond orally to questions, and responses are written by the investigative verification. The suspects may give a statement orally without direction from the investigator. After corrections are in order, the statement is signed. So after everything is said and done, after they got all the evidence they need, they basically write it down on that paper. I don't know if that's like the right one. I found it on the internet, so don't quote me on that one. I'm not gonna say they signed that exactly. So after everything is done, they basically sign that paper, and then that's their written statement of what happened that day. A polygraph exam. So when someone hears that, when you guys hear a polygraph exam, what do you guys really think? What is that for?
See if someone's lying.
Basically, it's whether to see a person is lying, but it's also to see. It doesn't really tell you if you're lying exactly. It tells you like it measures like the psychological response from the subject. So it doesn't tell you if you're lying like exactly, just like your response to what has just been said. So like if you say something that hits you, it's not exactly like your heart's gonna think about something else, or your brain's gonna like be like, oh shit, what just happened, and stuff like that. Sometimes even a polygraph, most courts do not accept the findings of a polygraph because it's not always accurate. So let's see, there was an example I had. When we went to that cop, you know, when he did the little camping or whatever, and they talked about how you do like a polygraph with the girl, they asked her if she like ever had sex or something like that, and she said no, but deep down she did do something. And it's just because of her self-conscious mind that she know what she did was wrong before marriage, I think they said.
The religion.
Yeah, the religion. Yeah, see, about their religion. It was wrong on the test, and people were thinking like, bro, this girl's weird and stuff. But deep down, it's just her self-conscious thinking of something else when it wasn't really true. Okay, small quiz, and you guys get Oreos. 6 pieces. So, okay. The first question is discuss the practical difference between the terms interviewing and interrogation.
Interviewing is more of like a friendly conversation. Interrogations, you're trying to get them to the next thing.
Oh, you get Oreo. There you go. There you go. I'm gonna get rid of those ones. Okay, explain the reason why suspects sometimes confess. You know?
Why would they sometimes?
Yeah.
Coercion.
Yeah, it's like this coercion, or just they feel if they admit guilt that the process will be over whether they did it or not.
Oh, you guys both said so.
You really can have my Oreos.
I feel bad now.
You can say it when you have.
No, I'm good.
You can have
Oh,
a snack.
okay, well, I want to get rid of these, so someone's going to take them. Okay, list of various interrogation styles.
Logical, sympathetic, indifferent, face-saving, and egotistical. Good, you get all 3.
And I get all of them. Take them on the road
Give
trip.
them the marbles.
I know, you go on the road or something. Okay, so thank you guys for those answers. Okay, conclusion. We consider the ways that information on crimes is documented by the criminal investigator. A proper documented case is one that is more likely to proceed in court. They must handle things like suspects be willing to give a verbal statement about their involvement in the crime, but might be unwilling to have it written down at the time. So suspects will say they will talk about what they did and stuff, but they'll sometimes refuse to write it down. I don't really understand why they won't. I mean, you basically just talked about what happened, but they just won't write it down at the time. Maybe because they're distressed, or they just forget and they just feel nervous about what's happening. But yep, in conclusion, that is it.